this. Let's hit this recording in progress. So, all right. So, welcome to Wapiti Live Q&A for March 29th. Tonight's topic is raking Chuckles, Huffs. And so tonight's topic kind of came about from a discussion I was having last week with my tax accountant. So of all people, so which Ben is a very avid hunter. His kids are hunters, and we were talking about the season last year, and I was talking about how it was the fewest amount of bugles that we have ever heard, but the highest number of call-ins we've ever had. And Ben said the same thing. Well, let me back up. Ben never packed his bow, but his son did. And his son said the same thing. His son never heard a bugle all season long. But this 15-year-old kid called in 9 different bulls, and he never bugled once all season long. Any guesses on any guesses on what he did?
Moscow call?
No. What's tonight's topic?
Raking and Chuckles.
Yes, raking and Chuckles. Yeah, he said he never bugled once. All he ever did was chuckle, and a majority of the time he would just rake and he would just do some huffs. And then he would rake and do some huffs, and then he'd rake and do some chuckles. And we've done this before in the past. And remember, you guys have told me, or you guys have heard me say how I love going to seminars because I will hear somebody talk about something and I'll be like, holy crap, we used to do that same thing and had a lot of success. Why did we ever stop doing it? That's exactly what this is. So, and I was doing a lesson last night and I was kind of talking, about things, and this guy was talking about his hunting partner, that his hunting partner knows 3 elk sounds: cow sounds, a location bugle, and a challenge bugle. That's it. Nothing else. And I got to, we got on the conversation. I said, sometimes you just need to go back to the KISS principle. Just keep it simple, stupid. And that's what sparked tonight's discussion with just raking and chuckles. And raking and chuckles, and this is not just an early season thing. This is something that you can do all throughout the year, especially if you are hunting in high pressured areas, because everybody else in that area is covering ground, bugling, and doing the same thing as everybody else out there. But imagine if you just did something different. You got into where you knew elk were, and you just focused on raking and chuckling, because raking is one of those things that can be done to show aggravation. It can be done to strip velvet. It can be done to just announce you're there, respond to something. It's not always an aggressive thing, and raking is one of those things that's kind of middle of the line, that's non-confrontational. So if you have a really quiet area because of pressure or this or that, but the cool thing about raking too is it doesn't give off any size measures. So, an elk hearing another elk rake, they have no idea how big that elk is. And so it creates a sense of curiosity. Who is this person? Is this a bull that I know? Is this a new bull that's moved into the area? Is he by himself? Does he have cows? What's his story? All kinds of things. And it creates that curiosity. But the one drawback to it is a lot of times, majority of the time, you're not going to get any bugle responses back. You're either one going to get an elk that's going to sneak in quietly because they're very curious to see what elk is doing this raking, and so you really have to be aware of your surroundings. Really, really scanning really well in between rakes so that you can scan around and catch something coming in. Or the other thing that you're going to get is a bull that's close by that will start raking also. I've actually had bulls that have been bedded, and we've kind of been sitting on that bull waiting for him to get up so that we can engage him. And I just got up and started raking. And, 10, 15, 20 minutes into it, I can hear him raking. It actually got him up out of his bed and started raking. Now, the cool thing is when you hear a bull raking, you can pinpoint that location and you can slip in on him. Because when a bull is raking, he can't hear anything because all he hears is his antlers scraping on that tree, but they also close their eyes. And so it really gives you the opportunity to slip in into shooting distance, especially once you get to the point where you're close enough and you can see him. And so you can plan your movements based on him raking. In fact, there's a video. It's on one of the Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls videos. It's when Rocky and Lance and I were hunting over in Island Park, and this very thing, I was behind the camera and Rocky was shooting that day, and we got into a few bulls that were bugling, and we had one that all he would do was just rake. And so Rocky basically wanted to show how you could sneak up on this on bulls when they're raking. And you can see the bull right over his shoulder. And Rocky and I just worked right up into him. When the bull would start raking, would move forward, and you move slowly so that when he stops raking and the eyes open up, you stop. I mean, you stop immediately when you feel like that's going to happen. And but it's an effective thing that creates a lot of curiosity. Now, the chuckle portion of it is, again, we've talked about chuckles to where you can do chuckles as excited, non-threatening, or you can ramp it up and get aggressive with them. So that's why chuckling and raking together are really, really good, because they're kind of middle of the road. They don't give any tips or tip the hand of how big you are or how small you are. It's not threatening. And a lot of times they create that curiosity factor. And that's really what this is, especially in early season, because you can have bulls that aren't interested in cows. They're not interested in establishing their pecking order. They're still kind of living in their bachelor groups, and so the inviting cow routine doesn't work. The breeding sequence doesn't work. You've tried a lot of these things. This is where adding this raking and chuckles and huffs into your mix as something else to try is a real benefit. So it's not like you're just getting stuck one dimensional. It's just like I've said before, when you go fishing, you don't just take one lure, you don't just take one spinner, you take multiples. So this is something else that you can add into your arsenal. And for you guys that hunt solo, this is a great, great tool, because you have that ability to blend in with whatever you're raking on. Now, okay, any questions so far? Nope. Nope. Bunch of light bulbs going,
As you're walking in or sneaking in, and he's raking, are you still doing any raking, or have you gone silent?
No, if I've committed to sneaking in on him, I've gone silent. I'm not raking anymore. So,
I assume so, but dumb questions get dumb answers.
nope. Nope. Actually, there is no dumb questions. So, no, it's Yeah, at that point you're basically you're on a stock. You're stocking in on them. So you don't want to give your position. You definitely want to make sure you've got cover next to you, tree, bushes, something that you can blend in with, when he gets done raking, he lifts his head. So um now the oh, somebody just hit pause on my brain. Hold on. I lost that thought. Holy crap.
Welcome to the
Only
club.
gets worse.
Oh God. It's been so bad the last 6 months or so. I was actually sitting there a couple of nights ago looking at the TV remote and I could not think of the word remote. Huh. Wow. I know it was a really good thought too, because it was like, aha, I need to jump into this. And Sandy just completely derailed me.
Well, keep on shooting, keep on practicing, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
There you go. Wrap it up. So, oh, I know what it was. So, okay. So, what type of trees are best to rake on? So, um, because I know definitely where I hunt, you've got a lot of different tree species in there, and they have different types of bark. So, typically, what I like to rake, if I can find a dead tree, a dead standing tree that has dead low hanging limbs, those are ideal to rake on because they produce a lot of sound. The other option is you'll see trees that have the really, really big bark pieces that you can just flake pieces off with your finger. Those are really, really great ones to rake on too because you get that good chatter sound on it. And you will actually feel, you know, the stick that you pick up, you'll actually feel it chatter on it. And if you've heard a bull raking, there's not a consistent smooth rub. There's that chatter, and sometimes it's just the tip. And so doing that to where sometimes you smack the side of the tree, you're up, you're down, you're scraping the tip on it. I usually just pick up sticks, and I know you guys that have been with me for a while, you've heard how if I find a good raking stick, I will lean it up against a tree. So that way, when I go back and hunt that area again, I don't have to look for a good raking stick. So, in fact, my hunting partners will joke that we will walk into an area and they will be like, yep, Michael's been here, because you'll see two or three sticks leaning up on trees. Question I get asked a lot: how do I feel about taking a shed antler with you to rake? Absolutely. It's the most realistic sound. I just don't want to carry that extra weight. And it's just something else that you have to contend with when you get a bull on the ground. But I do know people that do it. I mean, they will wrap part of the antler in leather so they have a nice handle. So the burls on the bottom part of the antler don't tear their hands up because they're sensitive sissy lalas that have sensitive hands and they can't handle that roughness. So now, obviously, none of those people are in here, so I can make comments like that. But of course, I did see Sandy just raise his hand, so he is saying he's one of those. So, but
Sandy works on a computer all day. His hands are wussy anymore.
no, but I mean, yeah, antlers do have obviously the best sound producing, but honestly, there are so many good. And here's my other thought of why I don't carry an antler. There's enough sticks laying on the ground that you can find a good raking stick. Now, mind you, you will pick up that one that's 4 to 5 feet long, and you will start raking, and it will break off about 3 inches above your hand while you're in the middle of raking, and you'll probably have to go through 3 or 4 sticks before you find a good one. Now, if you find a good one, what I've done before in the past that I found one that's long enough, I've just kept it with me as a hiking staff while I've hunted that day. Then I always have that good stick with me. Okay, raking, Chuckles, and Huffs. We already know about the Huffs out of the Huffs, Grunts, and Whines. Um, Now, notice I didn't talk about the grunts, I didn't talk about the whines, because we're focusing mainly on this of low audible sounds. The raking, the chuckles really aren't that aggressive, and your huffs, it's that low audible. It's not going to carry very far. It's not going to draw a lot of attention to it, and that's really what you're trying to do. You're not trying to broadcast it. You're not trying to blast it down a canyon. It's you are very focusing on a very isolated piece. And so it's one of those things where you will work that area for a little bit. Again, 45 minutes, hour, maybe a little bit longer. If nothing comes in, move on to the next spot. So,
Have you ever had any instances where cows come in out of curiosity or just primarily bulls?
no, cows can too, especially early in the year when, they are in the gathering mode. Um, Cows are kind of curious too. They want to take an inventory of what bulls are in the area. And so, yeah, cows can come in too because it's one of those sounds where you're not specifically targeting a cow, you're not specifically targeting a bull. It pulls and plays to everybody. Hold on, guys. I figured I better copy this address real quick before I forget. If I don't, I'll just end this, and then Joel will be sitting there wondering where the heck his calls were, and then call me choice names. Which I've been called plenty. All right, any questions, comments, concerns?
Not yet.
Not yet. What do you mean not yet? That's the end of the show. I ain't got nothing else.
Not in the field. Next September.
Oh, next September. Yeah. Oh God. Actually, that didn't happen last year. Last year was the first season in a while I did not get phone calls or texts during season. Every season since starting Elk Calling Academy, it's at least one phone call or text sequence. Hey, I have a bull that's about 125 yards out. What should I do? Get off the frickin' phone. Go hunt. Go hunt.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Take a picture, send it to me with GPS coordinates. I will verify. So, all right. Well, that's kind of all I had, guys. This one's kind of a simple, easy, but it was kind of that aha moment where, like I said, it's one of those things that used to do a bunch in for some reason. I don't know, just kind of got so focused on, the inviting cow routine and the breeding sequence and, all that fancy stuff that sometimes you just got to go back and keep it simple.
Well, how long would you do it for? I mean, like when I did that Lost Cow call, it was like almost an hour, like 2-3
Yeah.
calls every 5 minutes. I mean, like 45 minutes doing the huff grunts and whines and the raking. Is that too long or?
Well, I mean, and you're just focusing on the huffs and in the raking and, some chuckles in it.
Right.
But no, 45 minutes to an hour is fine. I mean, you'll kind of feel it. You'll kind of get that gut feeling of, hey, let's stay here a little bit longer, or man,
And then
nothing's
how
gonna
much of
happen.
it is overdone?
How much what?
How much is overdone on it? How much is overdone?
Um,
You can't constantly do it.
no, I mean it's kind of one of those things where you may do a rake sequence for 2-3 minutes, and then you may wait for 5-10 minutes before you do it again. So, and it's one of those things
Okay.
where you have to give the elk an opportunity to respond, to come to you, and so, but that's where really scanning and listening and everything else around. Be tuned into what's happening around you. And where Greg hunts, he can call in a grizzly bear doing this.
Well, they're there.
Oh, I know.
It's
I
a race once you get a carcass on the ground.
Oh, no, it's not. Yeah. I hunted over there that one time. And I'll tell you what, I have a lot of admiration for you guys that hunt in that country just because it adds such another element into your whole hunt because it's just one other thing that you have to be aware of at all times.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Especially when you get into fresh sets of tracks and fresh sets of sign and you know they're there. But yeah, no thanks. You can have
Hey,
it.
I've had black bears walk right up on me.
Black
I had
bears?
one. Yeah, I had one. I was in a tree, and my friend and my wife were doing cow calls,
Yeah.
and I looked over to my right, and I was looking this way because there was a canyon over there, and it was like 6 feet from me,
Yeah.
stalking him, and I was like, looked down, I'm like, man, my pistol's in my backpack because I accidentally took my wife's holster and it was bugging me. And I'm like, how am I gonna get that gun? I just put my hands and bow in the air and it just took off and broke all kinds of branches and stuff. Thank God there wasn't a cub involved because I've been in that situation too.
It's amazing how quiet they can come in. There was there was uh
Oh,
there was one year when we were hunting up outside of McCall, and in that season we called in 4 black bears and 3 different mountain lions in that one season. So the mountain lions were a lot more unnerving than what the bears were. So just because you'll have a lot more interactions with bears than you will mountain lions. And so we ended up shooting one of the mountain lions with a bow. So, but the others just caught movement and caught wind before anything could happen. But that's the only time we've ever had that happen. So, I mean, I've been following a blood trail before, and here's a bear on the blood trail following it the opposite direction, and we just kind of meet. So, and I kind of chuckle because he's going the wrong direction, but it's all right.
stupid bear.
We used to hunt the late season for spikes, and you could see the elk track in the snow. And if you followed, you could see once in a while wolf tracks coming in and following the elk.
Yeah.
And if you got to the point where you saw the elk, then you knew the wolves were behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you got in between them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's all I got for you tonight. So, Joel, congratulations. I hope everything tomorrow goes incredibly well.
That should. I've got a question for you.
Yep.
Have you ever played a scenario where all you've done is just done like a location bugle every like 5 to 7 minutes?
Not really a location bugle. It's more of a kind of a betting bugle. It's
Okay, kind of like that. That's what I was talking about.
Yep, yep. It's an advertising sequence. You're acting like a bedded bull. It's just throwing off a little
So
something about
I
like
did
that.
that last year because I got in on a couple of herds of elk last year on the day that I was able to actually get out, and I pushed them. I got in there in the dark and I pushed them a little bit, and so I just sat down in a bedding area and I did it for an hour and I had no response until just about an hour and 10 minutes after, and it was a cow call that started, and then I had a bull above me and a bull below me, and the small raghorn come in, and the big bull was actually below me, and the thermals were still going downhill, but he was coming up to me, so there must have been a wind blowing it away from him or something. And about 5 minutes after the raghorn circled around me and just trotted off, a cow come in, because I was in a spike only for antlerless, and the cow come in, I missed her due to a branch, but that was kind of, that's all I did was just did a updated bugle.
Yep. Yeah, it's an advertising sequence that basically you're just kind of sitting there broadcasting out, "Hey, I'm right here." It's that bugle every 5 to 10 minutes. You're not doing it very often at all. He's just saying, "Hey, I'm right here." And a lot of times on that, you will get cows coming in more, especially early on in the season, because that's what bulls are lazy. They will sit there on the mountain in bed and they will do that advertising sequence hoping to attract a cow. And
Yeah,
cows will come into it.
that was Labor Day weekend, and the cows what started the other two bulls up.
Yep.
And
Yep,
so,
she was responding to your advertising bugle, because the other two bulls probably never even bugled before that, or even never even said anything. And then when she acknowledged you with your advertising sequence, then all of a sudden the other two bulls were like, "Wait a minute, we're right here too. You need to come check us out."
okay.
It's not something I've done a ton. Um, I will do it on occasions, like if a couple of years ago where um, two bulls on the ground in less than 24 hours. So packed one, went out on an evening hunt, packed one bull out. Next morning, put another bull on the ground, packed him off the mountain. And that evening, I was just a little tuckered and really didn't feel like doing a whole lot. So I just got up into a place and just did that advertising sequence. Just because
Okay.
it'll cover a little bit more ground than like the inviting cow routine will, just because a bugle is going to carry farther just because of the higher note, and you're putting a little bit more power into it. So
Okay.
it covers a little bit more. I know
Okay.
now Jim's sitting there looking at me going, I had a cow tag last year, and all you told me to do was do the inviting cow routine. You never told me about this advertising sequence, you jackwagon.
No, I tried all kinds of stuff last year, and I even put in for a leftover tag and didn't get it. Didn't get it.
Huh.
I found out yesterday. Didn't get it.
No, that sucks. So
Yeah, so I'll be living vicariously through you guys this year.
well,
I'll be giving you a call.
you are gonna live vicariously through Sandy, because all that e-scouting that we did for him, he's just finding rock solid places that he's gonna go have a phenomenal year, and he's gonna bring all of us along on his journey.
Yeah, I with that outing, I got I took the videos, but I went back to the area where I hunted this last year and kind of did that overlay, and that is the exact coloration in the northeast facing slopes, everything that was right where I was at.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool to see how that kind of portrayed itself.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap it up tonight. So, Greg, do you wanna send us off tonight?
Do I?
Well, you said it.
Arriver.
You said it earlier. Remember it's.
Michael, I thought we were supposed to practice the roundup bugle.
Oh, tonight was supposed to be the roundup bugle, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's
We'll
why
do
you
it
got.
next time.
Okay. Do you guys want to dive into the roundup bugle tonight, or you want to save it for the next time and give you 2 more weeks to practice it?
I
We'll
only
do it next
practiced
time.
for a day, so I'm pretty bad.
All right, so we'll table that one. So I will make a note that in 2 weeks, and plus Larry's not here anyways. So I mean,
Yeah,
we only do
Larry.
this calling stuff for Larry because he can't figure out that there's actually calling instructional videos down below. So
Don't
That's
post
fine.
this video until the day of the meeting.
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, there you go. Because he'll be asking me about the replay. So, okay, yeah, we'll table that in 2 weeks. We'll focus on the roundup bugle. We will do the group calling technique for the roundup bugle. So, all right, guys. As always, keep calling, keep practicing. More importantly, have fun. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a good one,
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
everybody.
There you go.
Mhm.